But it's really bad in the United States of America and to the republic.
The hell's going on? There you go.
That's the public hearing because the stop sign should be a local law. We did it for Copeland Avenue back in 2021, talking with Fran. I believe he concurs, so we'll set another date after the seasonings and everything else, once the local law is ready, so probably towards the end of October. But I did put it on the agenda if you wanted to discuss it with anyone, and if anyone who showed up for the public hearing would like to express opinions.
Yeah, we could move that to right now.
Okay.
Item G, is there anyone here to talk about stop sign?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I walk on, I'm Rose Stiles, I live on East Sunset. I walk on Hooker every day and I haven't been concerned, rarely am I concerned about somebody going too fast. I don't think there's been any incidents or accidents, and I'm not sure why this is coming up. My other concern is if we are trying to address a speeding issue, then why not correct the fact that people are speeding? Don't just put up stop signs randomly to slow people down. And if not using law enforcement people out there, maybe a speed bump in the section of road where people, they think they're going faster. I just don't think it's a necessary addition. It would add confusion to the intersection, if anything, not to mention minuscule as it is, the fuel consumption of all those cars stopping, starting. I'm against it.
Okay.
I am 209 Roberts Drive.
Okay,
I also live at 8 Sunset.
all right. Okay.
Yeah, so hi, everybody. I'm Sean Vormold. I also live on Sunset Drive with my wife and 2 daughters, and my wife and I are supportive of installing stop signs. And the reality is that many vehicles do speed down Hooker Ave. There's no sidewalk, and in many spots along the road, there's no shoulder either. And this creates a potentially dangerous situation for pedestrians walking in this part of the village. So we do see people of all ages walking along Hooker Ave, including seniors and parents pushing strollers or walking young children. And it can be challenging to get off the road sometimes when vehicles approach. And we like to walk and ride bikes too, but the traffic on Hooker Ave is a significant deterrent since there's no sidewalk or shoulder. So the stop signs may help to slow down traffic in order to provide a safer environment. However, in addition to stop signs, I would encourage the village to consider installing a sidewalk or exploring other the feasibility of using additional traffic calming techniques along Hooker Ave. From a pedestrian safety perspective, curbed sidewalk is the safest solution. So I suggest exploring this and other potential solutions during the process of developing the next village comprehensive plan. And I previously volunteered with Mayor McCabe and Deputy Mayor Clune on the Climate Smart Communities Initiative, where the village was recognized for its efforts related to sustainability. Promoting pedestrian safety is consistent with the principles of climate smart communities. It also helps foster healthy people and vibrant communities. So I encourage the village to take a step in the right direction with promoting pedestrian safety for village residents in neighborhoods near Hooker Ave. So thank you.
Just want to say I agree with you that there's no shoulders there, and it's tricky, but I've also been really impressed with how considerate people are, that they really do pull over and give you room, even though there's no shoulder and you're walking on the line of the road. But I also think other methods might be more effective.
It's definitely we were contacted by parents with who were walking their kids or had strollers, they were the primary people that reached out to us about that. It was their concern. I think that when they hit the area where there's no shoulder at all, that it's just a little terrifying for them. We've looked at it for putting in sidewalks. That's a pretty huge, heavy lift. Nobody ever wants to have a sidewalk installed in front of their house because then they're responsible for maintaining it, replacing it, and so we would have to use eminent domain, which I really don't like to do. One thing I would like to explore for the village in general is the use of temporary speed bumps. So ones that you put down, basically bolt them down in the winter or in the summer, the springtime, and you take them up for winter, because we can't have permanent one. We could, but we really shouldn't, because they tear the crap out of our plows. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I know we do, yeah, I know, we can't have permanent ones for plows. So we'll look into that, though, but yeah, that's, thank you guys for your feedback.
It's a less than a mile stretch of road and there's a railroad track like on 1/3 of it. So I'm guessing that the concern is only on the other end of it. It's more open field area. But I don't know.
I think they specifically said it was they were walking to Turkey Park, they were trying to get to the park, and that's where they were afraid, so. But thank you guys for your feedback.
What's the posted speed limit?
30, yeah, and I mean, we do have pretty, not aggressive, but pretty solid speed control with our law enforcement, but the problem is people speed all over the place and we only have one officer, and so we move them around, but they're always one step ahead of us, the speeders, it seems like.
They had the speed monitoring sign out there for a while. Do you know what that showed?
It doesn't actually record any data, and it does not, right, chief, doesn't record any data. But it doesn't,
That's correct. It doesn't record.
right. So that's a pretty, that's more of a reminder for people who maybe didn't realize how fast they were going versus people who were just intentionally going that fast. So, yeah, it's a concern. I live in a spot where people speed pretty regularly, and it's definitely a problem, but we'll continue to look into it. Anybody else on the speed? Once, twice, thrice. Okay. All right. Now we'll move into the regular meeting, approving the minutes.
I make a motion that the board members would take a look at the draft, which is separate from the copy. I make a motion that we approve the draft minutes as written here.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys, for coming.
Thank you, guys. All right, next up, treasurer's report. Let's see. All right. Having trouble with Williamson support?
I called her today twice actually, so we together, but yeah. Not necessarily trouble, it's just a sign up there to be the training and things. Very popular person. I needed it so.
Okay,
So,
all right. Let me know if that continues to be an issue. And remember to keep your eye out for something you might want to move to.
Okay.
Instead.
Health consortium, one meeting on Thursday.
this is on their budget, which is the proposal and everything for the health insurance changes.
Have you seen the proposed increase? You know what it is?
They did a slideshow a couple weeks ago, and I can send it to you. But it's quite a bit more than usual.
Oh, is it really?
Once we do the prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Still pretty minute increases compared to other places. All right,
I'll make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report as written. I'll second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the payment of the bills in the A fund vouchers number 1079 through 1137 in the amount of $40,270.94. From the F and G fund vouchers number 341 through 365, the amount of $29,811.29. And T and A fund voucher number 37 for $127.55.
Second.
Discussion. Favor?
Aye. Mike?
I was just like. Well, as you know, let's see, so the town, at our last board meeting, we approved the reevaluation, so we're gonna be going ahead with that. So we'll be signing contracts, and that'll be starting, he says first of the year, but most likely March, April, probably about April. So there's a process they're gonna send out, they won't go door to door, they'll send out questionnaires for everybody to fill out, so. I think that'll be a plus for both the town and the village. As you know, we're busy on our budget because I have to present at our next board meeting a preliminary draft budget. Still waiting to hear back on sales tax, and as you know, but we were told it should be remaining flat, so I'm hoping that's the case, but if they got to the end of the month, so we're building around gonna be flat, but we know what's coming up. And, we could be facing some difficult years coming up.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be kind and,
yeah,
we'll just have to deal with it when we get there. So I'm just hoping this year it's flat and we'll prepare. At least give us some time because as Hal knows, and I don't want you guys know, but they really sprung it on us with no warning. We had a couple of meetings with them. It looks like they're gonna hold flat for one more year. And then going that, but other than that, it's just busy for us. I know, like for you guys, and we did get and I should have brought it over, so we do have our final drawings for the downstairs. He assures me, we're supposed to be ready to go to bid right now, so he knows I'm pretty frustrated, but he assures me by next month, we will have documents to go to. And I've been hearing this for 2 or 3 months, so I'm trying to hold his feet to the fire. But that's the best I can do. I hope to get this project underway by January. We'll see. Yeah, I'd like to do a winter build, because if we don't make the winter build, I don't think we'll have good luck with a decent price in the summer.
right, that's a good point.
So that's what we were really pushing for, to get a winter build. That's about all I have.
I don't know whether I should speak now or wait until you get to new business item F.
If it's about the signs, you can wait till IMF, yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say.
I
I
wait
waited.
new additions. Know about our new additions.
It's not their property.
Well,
It's your
they-
property.
Yeah, but they share.
They'll see it in November.
Okay.
Two more carpenter portraits arrived that they accepted or will accept at the next board meeting. They're put out here by Dave Quinlan. Or I've ordered a plaque that says shipping today. Boy, did this people work fast to have an explanation as to. Okay. And I'm gonna be on the phone tomorrow with, I think, the New York City Art Commission about the possibility of yet another. Portrait. Are you ready to get this on the map?
I think,
Our gallery?
honestly, I think we're getting pretty close to that, don't you?
Well, there's still space out here, so.
Well, I mean, not just. not just the
Reputation,
town hall, but
reputation wise.
The village, the sheer number that the village has here in the different
In the town.
properties, the town, the village, right? The school, right?
There's about 30 in the Homer Portland here.
Right, yeah.
Some of them are just squirreled away.
We got on-
It's like a little dust. and it's
We're gonna
just-
put a museum to do tonight.
All right,
Good problem to have. Good job.
Yeah, nice problem to have.
Are we doing grants update?
I have the one other stapled packet that you have up there I'd like to go over. It's the NIPA stuff. It's an email thread, Trinity and the New York Power Authority.
Oh,
Should be off to the side somewhere there.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So as everyone will remember, Village did a NIPA project, New York Power Authority worked with them way back in 2020 to switch out all the lighting within the village jurisdiction to LED lights. That project is done. We have an outstanding project that we want to do with putting Wi-Fi and cameras up in certain areas of the village, pretty much along Main Street. We have a design back. There's a lot of reviews to this. National Grid has to review, Verizon has to review, NIPA has to review, the engineers for National Grid have to review, and the engineers for National Grid have proposed a design for the project to go forward. However, two poles that were destined to have either Wi-Fi or cameras, they say they can't have any more attachments, so there's no more room to put things on it. So I talked with this gentleman, Chuck Herman from NIPA, today. They'll have to go back to design to see, where do we switch out the Wi-Fi? Is there a better position for the camera? So we'll have to still look at poles. So that's was still ongoing. But in our conversation, he brought up that, essentially, since the LED light project is done, NIPA would like to, as he calls it, de-scope the project and bring it to a close and allow us just to work with the contractor to do the Wi-Fi and cameras on our own. And so there's a lot of information to digest here, but the most important information is cost. The remaining costs pretty much are only around the 30,000 K to the contractor to put up Wi-Fi and cameras. Of course, that was a quote from 2 years ago, so they will re-quote it and it'll certainly won't go down. I imagine will go a bit up. If we left NIPA as the contractor to working with Adirondack instead of ourselves, it'd be an additional like $10,000 in fees. So kind of a wash if we don't use NIPA, that 10,000 will go on top of that 30. I doubt it'll be that high, but then that's will be just the cost to us. So I asked him, is that it then? Is there no more costs to the village? And he said, they have to do a little final. There may be a small balance, there may be a small credit, but essentially, yes, all costs are satisfied.
Whew, yeah,
That'd be nice to put that one to bed.
very nice. All right, very good.
Bill, we finished the sidewalks for the year?
Tomorrow morning, the last 9 yards is on for the year.
Okay.
And we'll hit the goal.
We're past the goal already. We're
Yeah.
just putting additional,
Perfect.
Salt shed?
all paved. All we gotta do is put the approach on,
Put the what on?
the concrete approach.
Oh, okay.
That's on.
Great.
Who would we wind up using for the paving?
Yeah. I'll get back to you.
That's all right. I think you told me already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cody,
yeah, Cody something, yeah. I'm not gonna remember the last name, but yeah. I remember that came up. I remember when it came up. Okay,
While we're talking, Phil, did you make 3,000 feet?
yeah, sweet.
yes,
And that's great, because last year was 1,200.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Good job.
You guys rock and roll.
That's awesome.
Okay, next up, approve 3 CDBG housing grant applications.
Make a motion that we approve these 3 applications that are submitted pursuant to CDBG.
I'll second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
And next up, approve homeless firefighter application.
I'll second it.
Discussion, all in favor?
Just
Aye.
an
Oh, yeah.
discussion, I would just say, I'm so pleased with the number of new applicants that we've seen this year. I think it really is a testament to the good work done by our fire department and
Yeah.
that we continue to recognize them in it.
Yes. Any other discussion? All in favor?
I,
Unanimous? Okay, good. All right, approve audit services proposal from the Bonadio.
As the board may remember, you've already authorized Pronexus to do audit readiness. That'll be around the end of our fiscal year next year. This group will come in afterwards, so March, May, or April, May time frame, I think. And they will do essentially the current fiscal year to, as far as for an audit. There's a lot of information to digest. There's a lot of costs to digest. But I think it's valuable to the village. It's been a long time since we've had audits. We had a pandemic that stretched that out even further. Would have had this done a few years ago if that hadn't occurred. And I asked Sam to see where some money, because we're gonna budget for it. This is not something like a cost that's gonna happen
Right.
for it. We're gonna work through the budget season and we'll budget for it to get it ready to go. But it's high time the village like gets an audit and we'll get our current position. It would be nice to have that authorized.
So I remember I looked through this when we got it in the email. And I didn't have any issue with the first year getting us ready.
Mhm.
It's, do we really need to have this year after year?
Perhaps not. That's a discussion. That's not,
Yeah.
that's not set in stone. Definitely.
Because it seems like a lot of additional each year. I understand, getting us back into compliance and
Mhm.
everything right now. Well, that we're not.
Right.
Going through and,
making sure we're
making sure that everything's
Yeah.
perfect.
So that's a conversation we'll have with them as we
Okay,
get
so
closer
this
to
is
it.
just for the first year that we're gonna.
That's what we'll
authorize this.
budget for, yeah.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the audit services proposal from the Bonadino Group for the first year.
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, approved auction and international sales surplus items. The only one that I went through and said no, because it just seems way too low, is that 2020 Explorer. And then, of course, we said no to the sweeper, right? But that Explorer, I mean, that's a 2020 for $8,600. That's just,
I can counter offer, let
um,
me know.
I mean, the 2017 Taurus is going for more than the Explorer is. That's just crazy. So let's hold on to that one, for now, and then we'll figure it out, because that's just too, I just think that's too little to let go for. They're $40,000.
It's not that old.
No, it's not. It's not. All right. That's my thoughts.
No, the only issue we have with that is it's got a check engine light is on. It's a evap system problem. That probably could be, other than it's a Ford, probably why it's going below.
Vacation didn't tell you out at all, did it?
Well, it's just a personal opinion, but yeah, it is low. I think it is low for 2020.
Yeah, I would rather take another run at it. Let's get the evap thing fixed and then put it back up there. I mean, it should be going for twice that much.
Okay,
But other
we
than
can work
that,
on, we can work on that.
all right, thanks, chief.
Yep.
Board, you guys good with everything else? Pulling that off and the sweeper off?
Well, the sweeper, if you don't mind, I put a counter offer in. on it
Okay.
today. So I'll find out tomorrow if they accept it.
What are you looking to get from the sweeper?
I counter offered $125,000. There ain't no way they're getting that for 20 grand. That's a $250,000 truck right there. It has 6,000 miles,
Yeah, right,
you know, so, yeah, that was kind of a joke.
there you go,
If not, we'll just run it.
okay. All right, very good, yep, I'm good with that.
So removing the Ford Explorer and the sweeper. I'll make a motion that we approve the sales minus the 2024 Explorer and the 2016 Freightliner.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Then. The public hearing date for a new model of truck purchase.
This public hearing I'll keep.
What now?
This public hearing I'll keep as opposed to the stop sign. So,
Yeah,
so it just needs to go for next board meeting.
next
So we
board
just
meeting.
got to move some money out of reserves. October 8th.
I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing date of 8 October for the Newton Waterworks truck purchase from the Newton Waterworks Machinery Reserves.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Keith,
Yes, sir.
no, not Chief, Keith.
Oh,
How
good.
about you? Not all about you. Keith, you there? This one. Keith White,
This time.
I'm just gonna ask him about the water main piping that you had a question mark next to on the.
Yeah,
audit.
well,
Where was
the
that?
question was, they had it in at 8 inches. It's actually 12-inch pipe. So I got a hold of Auctions International, they got a hold of the guy, and he said, yeah, he was good with that. It's fine.
Okay, all right, so then we don't get. That's it. All right. All right, next up is to discuss the village's LED sign law timeline. So. Tell you what we're thinking right now is that. We would set a. Public hearing for the next meeting on this, right, to. Install a 6-month moratorium. On any new. Signs. So that we can. Take time yet to. Cause I think there's still. Yeah, I still am, you know, I'm torn. I can see both sides of it very easily, so. You wanna say anything or why not let these folks speak?
Well, I'll say what my thought on is. We've got to move forward. With something, but we have to do it correctly. I agree with the moratorium because I know there's frustration as we've been dragging this through. And there's concerns that some people at this point might say. We rather beg forgiveness than ask permission. So by establishing a moratorium, it will allow us to make it clear, in no uncertain terms. That we are going to direct how this is gonna go. The board has seen at least 3 different proposed ordinances from different municipalities. We are trying to get through that and understand the concerns of our businesses and our organizations that want to change and the history of the village from which a lot of people come here to live and how to balance that. One of the things I find interesting is we are using these, what are these backlit placard signs. And what was it called? You had one for. Yeah, I know, I put you on the spot. Sorry about that. And what I've noticed is that in most of these ordinances, they outlaw those signs because they're ugly as hell. Excuse me, ugly. And that's what we have right now. So standing where continuing what we have is not really an option. We've got to move forward, and this is not something that we can screw up. So I think the 6-month moratorium will establish the timeline so people know what we're doing. And this will keep people from getting ahead of themselves.
I'll tell you, I'll just say one thing, at this point, my mindset is that we're not looking at. So we had a test run last year of an LED sign in the parking lot. It was horrible, I think, even turned down as low as it could be turned down, it was pretty horrible. So I think that we're not, if we move forward with something like that, it's not gonna be an LED sign in that vein. They're incredibly expensive for how terrible the technology is. I'm more thinking it would be what they're actually just called like outside televisions. So they're a television just like this that is weatherproof, that can be outside. So you can obviously really dim that at night, and the resolution is perfect. We would still have no moving images, could still only change it once per hour at most. And that's sort of my thought, and the cost is a lot less. The size is, you're not gonna go too much bigger than that, maybe a little bit, but you'd still be able to get your message across. That's my thought at this point. But, you know, I'm open to hearing from everybody. The last thing I wanna do is anything that screws this village. I don't wanna damage the village, but I also don't want to, freeze us in a spot where it causes these organizations to suffer just for the sake of it. They need to be able to get the word out there. There are three of the, especially the Legion and the Center are two of the most changed signs in the villages, really, if you look at it. Their messages have probably changed 2-3 times a week, and they're different events, and I always look at them when I go through those intersections. So they're important, and I know the fire department would use theirs more as well. So I'll let you guys, Stu, I can see you're chomping at the bit back there, so why don't you go ahead and go first?
Well, I'm just saying, you know, you're saying updates. I mean, updates are updates. I mean, we have cell phones in a historical district where we still maybe should go back to digital phone. But, you know, the fire department is looking for something. It's used. It wasn't, and when I brought it back the first time to you people, I said, it's not only for us, because you have your building there too. It could be a 3-way thing between us, the Brewster House, and the village.
Right.
And it's a thing that could be used constantly. We've advertised for small fry football on our
Right.
little thing that's out front there, and with plowing in the winter, that's in the way a lot of times, and creates a thing. But I'd like to get something, you know, I mean, I look at the school signs and they're not, I don't see them as that bright at night.
No, but they're
that
terrible.
aspect.
They're terrible signs. They're terrible signs. They got the bargain basement ones or something, because they're just awful. They're the exact kind of sign we don't want to have. Stu, where are you thinking that you guys would put yours? Like where physically exactly?
Well, it probably should be in similar location to where it is now. Unless, and I was talking earlier that maybe there's a possibility, maybe talk with the Legion and go and co-church with them too, but it's just something that it's running back and forth. You know?
That might be interesting if could combine it with a Legion and then make it 2 signs.
But I've talked to Mike too, but he would have to go between his people and.
Right.
to see what was feasible there too.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Mark,
Thank you.
yep,
Well, I have to do my job.
I know,
Preservation of the history and the architecture of this community. I think I may have sent emails to 2 or 3 of you.
yes,
I spent the afternoon contacting like 4 different places. I went online just out of curiosity to see what Harper's Ferry does. Now, obviously, we're not a national park. And don't draw yet heritage tourists like they do, but obviously they're 19th century in their architecture. And it's pre and during Civil War. They don't permit LED. Of course, obviously, they don't even permit apparently vehicles except through the back alleys so people can get to their homes. They want to maintain that ambiance, but that's them. I wanted to check New York State. So I first checked to see how Aurora, New York, over on Cuba Lake, how they handle signage in the historic district, and they've got a historic district. This is what I found. The regulations for signs in their historic district are quite specific to preserve the area's historical character. Online, it says generally LED signs are not permitted in historic districts because they can be seen as incompatible with the traditional aesthetic of these areas. Amen. If you are considering installing any type of sign in the historic district, it's best to consult with the local zoning or historic preservation office. They've got a local preservation office to get detailed guidance and ensure compliance. They can provide you with the necessary information, help you understand the process for obtaining any required permits. You got to get permits for the signs. See, I didn't know where you guys were at about any of this. If you had laws in the works, I heard things on the grapevine, but when I found you talking today, I spent the afternoon and I checked with the historic East Aurora, New York, which is outside of Buffalo. I've been there and it's quite remarkable. Their business district, I would say, is part of their historic district. And they told me that since approximately 2006, the historic village of East Aurora has required applications for variances to be granted for LED signs. None are permitted at the entrances to the village proper. None are permitted in their historic district. Interior LED signage is allowed. And anything exterior for a commercial enterprise requires a variance to be granted. And I said, do they get granted? Sometimes they grant them and usually not. The village has been vigilant about what they call LED creep. Once you open the can of worms, once you set the precedent. So I guess I'm asking in that regard, should we exercise the same kind of caution? Then I finally got through to somebody at Casanova. That was terrible. They seem to have 2 historic districts. One is residential, one is commercial. They seem to have a compromise, but I couldn't get it straight whether they understood what they had. I mean, it was a disappointment. I expected more, I guess, from Casanova. And I guess I expect more from us.
let me ask you,
You know,
let's say the fire departments, or any of the 3 existing signs, perhaps the bed, they gotta get it. What's to stop them from putting in another one of the backlit plastic letter signs? Maybe this time though, they put the little row of lights that go around, like a used car lot. Is that in keeping with the historic nature? But it's permitted right now.
well, this is my concern. I guess ever since the 1972 Landmark Society was created and in turn created the historic district, we've been blessed, and I've bragged about it, that we're one of the few communities in New York State that doesn't have ordinances in place to protect the preservation of what we have. I've bragged about the fact that we've got people who are intelligent enough and ethical enough to realize you've got to at least maintain the exterior. Do what you want with the interior. I have, I think, 6 students I've taught who bought property in the historic district and have promised me we'll keep up the exterior so it's 19th century, but inside we will modernize. And in some places, they don't want to even modernize the inside, and you got wainscoting and stuff like that, and beautiful mantles, but you gotta have a kitchen that's 21st century, you gotta have Wi-Fi, I understand all that. And they've done a good job of maintaining that balance. Preserve the exterior, modernize and upgrade the interior. I just feel like since 1972, the village as a municipal entity has been involved with kicking the can down the road. It's politically sensitive, I get it. There are people who have told me, I don't want Martin Sweeney or anybody else to tell me what I can do with my damn property. I'm an American, as long as I have my rights, this is what we're gonna do. I get it. But at some point, we may not have 6 of Martin Sweeney's former students willing to do this on their own. You may have to do some arm twisting.
Right.
It won't be in my lifetime probably, it won't be yours, but at what point do we stop kicking it down the road? Take the bull by the horns and say, this is the way it's gonna be. This is what we value and this is what we will enforce.
So with that, I get that, and I, you know, I was told that there are still people that won't speak to each other over the
Since
LED sign,
1972.
well, LED sign on the green.
Yeah,
But again, my question is, if
that one even working
sometimes,
sometimes,
They
right?
turned it off because it was malfunctioning.
yeah, that's not a good one. But my question is, let's say the Legion sign goes kaput. They've got to replace it. What would you have them replace it with?
Whatever your ordinance says. What's
It's not fair.
Yes, it is. You are in charge of this community. You set the standards.
Well,
If you have to, if they have to apply for a variance,
You
then
you
you
can't
do
just
that.
come and say you're gonna get angry if we do X, and then if I say, well, if we don't do X, what should we do? I don't know, it's
Well,
up for you to decide,
in
we just don't do X.
In politics, you're gonna anger somebody all the time.
No, what we're looking
Yeah.
for.
Do I have to go get a hammer and do political violence? What do I have to do?
What we're looking for is a solution, other viewpoints
Well-
of solutions.
I understand you guys are working toward a compromise where you would keep it out of the so-called business district, but allow these other 3 entities. For reasons I understand, I wouldn't want to go out there if I were the fire department or Thai Marshal or any of them and have to freeze my hands in February, putting little black letters of the alphabet up to explain there's a barbecue coming up or something. I understand that. I don't know what the compromise is gonna be if that's what you're looking for.
No, Mark, we're not looking for a compromise. 'Cause
Looking
a compromise means giving a little each way. What we're looking for is a solution. What we're looking for is, like Hal was talking about, something like that, where you can make it look like an old sign in the 19th century. But it's digital, well, it's an LED or whatever, it's a digital, but you can make it look, and so that when you change it, all you're doing is typing into a keyboard, and all of a sudden it looks like a great classic looking sign. That, we're looking for the solution in that regard.
Oh,
So
I'd like to look at that.
if you're aware of any technology or any alternatives, because I've been doing a bit of traveling to some other places, and a lot of them is they have these great signs, but you can't put a message on it. It just says the name of the store, and because, you know, it's looks great, but you can't do any messaging. So we need to find something that allows these organizations to do some messaging while retaining a look to the village.
I just can't imagine something like Colonial Williamsburg having LED signs up.
Well, we're not colonial Williams.
No, but we are 19th century
Yes.
America.
Yeah,
And when
but
people
I'm-
say, when people say this is like a Norman Rockwell community, or they say they drive onto the street and they feel like they're on a set for a Civil War movie. Come on, we want to keep that going, or are we gonna say,
Yeah, but they don't say that when they see the current signs that are there,
Yeah.
right? They're,
I don't think the current signs ruin the village. I think that you can love the village and, you know, these signs kind of fade into the background. But, you know, in addition to having a beautiful village, we also have a regional arts powerhouse. And it makes sense for them to be able to list events outside. They have people coming in from all over to see acts and who wanna get tickets to some of the big shows that are coming up. It makes sense for them to be able to list that. And same goes for the events that are put out by the Legion and the information from the fire department.
see, the unfortunate situation is these 3 entities, the American Legion Fire Department and the Center for the Arts, are all located too close to the heart of the historic district, which is the green. Damn it,
right,
if it was further,
yeah,
no,
Then
But-
maybe we should go back to the horse and buggy.
but they're also all 3 nonprofits that are critical to the village, and I feel like we can find like the technology, like the outdoor television, but what, like Pat said, come up with a template that says, this is what, you cannot change the graphics. You can change the message, you can change all the letters you want. But this is the way that it's going to look physically and appear on the screen, right? So that sort of almost maybe balances it out. So we could have it look like an older sign. I mean, with the technology, it's a television, so that is the limit as far as the graphics capability. But this way, they can change it as it needs to be changed. And I actually think we could wind up with three signs that look better than the current signs.
Ideally, we would want to find something that looks better than what we have and still allows them to do what they need to do. I don't think that is out of the realm of possibility. We can add in things like if the American Legion was to keep their sign on all night, I'm sure the residents, it's bright, it's a bright white beacon. But if we put in something else that can dim with an optic eye, then that would make it more pleasant for the neighbors.
So would you be putting these options in ordinance form, and anybody have to apply to these things, given the understanding, if you do this, this is what we want, this, and this?
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's your prerogative. You're calling the shots here, but I think you gotta put it in writing and.
Yeah.
Everybody apply.
That's why we're taking our time.
Taking the moratorium.
We're gonna
Yeah.
put
But
this.
some are
in
saying the
writing.
moratorium is just kicking the can down the road. I don't agree with that, but I agree with you, it takes time.
Yeah.
But we've spent a lot of time in this already. They're, ready to do this soon. Winter's coming, and I get
I
it.
know,
I'm not unsympathetic. My position as the historian is, what it is. I've made it clear.
we're just trying to get it, no matter what we do, there are gonna be people who are upset. If we do nothing, if we do X, if we do Y, if we do Z, we're gonna upset people. Goal is to try to upset as few as possible. And let these organizations still be able to have the ability to get their messages out, which, like I said, between the three of them, there are three important signs as far as conveying information to the village, so. I think we can do it.
I hope that with what you've laid out tonight, with the 6-month time frame and the move away from LED lights to something like an outdoor television, that maybe the organizations will come up with options that they really like, that would work in that frame and bring it to us to help us as we're crafting. Because if they come up with good solutions, that can be consistent, that can be not detract from the character of the village, I think that would be, we'd like to be led by
Yeah.
their consensus too.
Because I know that the sign manufacturer that came and did the demo, they brought their best sign, their smallest knit sign or whatever, their pixel size, and it was not okay. They couldn't get it even dimmed as much as they would dim it. They couldn't get it dim enough where it wasn't obnoxious. To Victor, I always go to Victor's point. It's not so much driving by that it's obnoxious, but walking by. And we have so many people that walk in Homer, and it's one of the great things about the village. That we don't want that to become something that detracts from that.
So we don't want the creep, right? We don't want.
No, we don't want to become little
What's to
Vegas.
stop Elizabeth Brewster House then from asking?
No, that's what will be in the ordinance as well, is where will these signs be allowed?
And I think the goal is.
Because as of October 1st, Elizabeth Brewster House wants me to apply through the Pomeroy Foundation for a historical marker to go out front. I just can't see one out there next to an LED sign,
Well, I think that the fire department is looking at maybe combining with them, right? So it would be just one. So.
At one time, excuse me, at one time that we said we would like to do with them, the village. And us,
Right,
and so that you had three people working on it. And another time I thought about, well, what would be cool would be like on our sign that we had coming in with the whole horse and
right.
buggy, if you could come up with a thing like similar to that that sign on, so that it would look historical, it'd be on that type of a structure. So
Right.
you're in the historical district, You're showing it on a old time type wagon with wheels, but it would have to be, you know,
Yeah, and I think that's part also, these signs, we wouldn't allow them just to be a sign. They'd have to have an enclosure, that fit the look and feel. So I think center already kind of does, I think, because don't they have sort of like a brick thing?
Yeah, it's a monument style.
Yes.
We would go within what the church on the green, what the Congregational Church has is a monument style. And I think that would fit well with that district, but that's something we have to flesh out.
Would there be space next to where we have the rather historic looking bus stop? One sign for all these entities to use, other than the Center for the Arts. That puts two signs opposite each other and not so close to the
Well,
village
right,
green. We're moving it away.
if it's the Legion, Brewster House Fire Department, Village,
Could
we
go
put
there.
it somewhere right there. And then there's that one, the center one, yeah, that reduces it by one, and if we can get all the organizations to agree. I'm sure the village, I'm sure we would agree to
Now, where
that.
does the elementary school stand on this? Have they approached you?
The elementary.
They're not talking about it.
Bob, me?
They said that with the signs that are out with the intermediate and the high school, that they didn't feel that they really needed one at the elementary. And that's what, and
Right.
I can check on that again, because I'm in and out of the,
There, yeah, no, we cannot have one, there, the elementary school, especially now.
they weren't even looking into it.
Good, yeah, because the other ones are terrible.
And I have no objection with outside the historic district, you know, the schools, they can have it to 81. That's a whole another Homer there.
Right,
That's not 19th century. And don't
Right.
want us to go back to horse and buggy? No, but
no, I know,
what's the value impression we wish to show?
I just bet you money that we could come up with ones that look better than what we have.
Well, I'm not gonna bet against you.
So anyway, that's where we're at. We'll have the referendum to set the moratorium at the next board meeting.
So I think we need a resolution. So I make a motion that we need the mayor to have a resolution tonight to have a public hearing on a local law for a 6-month moratorium on LED signs.
Any other discussion? Favor?
Aye.
All right.
Ed? Okay.
Yeah, and obviously we'll keep talking through this. The last thing that, I was gonna say, the last thing that we want to do is jump into something and make a decision that we regret. And I think that's kind of why we're trying to not put a foot on here, which is difficult.
And I think we'll continue to do what we've done in the past, is if we bring up something, we'll have them come out here and do a demonstration.
Yeah.
You know, let's take a look, let's get everybody out here. That demonstration, as flawed as it was very helpful,
Yes, it was.
you know, because they promised one thing, and then you see it in reality, and it wasn't, so.
We might even be able to get one that we could keep for a week or so and use and let, you know, and put it into actual use for a week so people can see what it looks like in the morning, the daytime, and all different weather.
In the loop, thank you.
Yes, we will.
We will.
Last item, status of the legislature sales tax proposal. We had a meeting the other week, last week. They're gonna push. They're gonna kick the can down the road. And not put this into place for another year. There was no discussion of not. And so, and they're not negotiating, they're not working with any of the other municipalities other than the city right now. Which is infuriating. They'll tell us, well, we don't have to. That's great. I guess you don't have to, but it's not not the right way to do things. And so
Are they hoping that we're gonna forget in a year?
I don't know what they're thinking. I I don't know if they think that I'm gonna get less loud about this, because it's only gonna go the other direction. Because this is, again, I can't stress enough, this would mean a 40% tax increase for village taxes. And I know it would probably be roughly the same for the towns. I don't know how much they would have to raise theirs to make up for the shortfall. And so I did send a list of, I have the strange feeling if they do invite a few municipalities in to discuss it, I won't be part of that. I just have a strange feeling. So, even though we should, because we're the third probably largest producer of sales tax. But I sent some things, we get told, well, the county's only doing things that are mandated. We only do mandated things. So I sent a list of things, is an airport mandated, landfill mandated, road patrol mandated. And then also I want to see, I'd like to see they say that they got a bid from the Tompkins County Healthcare Consortium for healthcare. It was far more expensive than the self-insured plan that the county's using. However, we spend the fourth most of any county health insurance for our employees. So that doesn't really seem to pass the smell test. So I'd like to see those numbers.
How's that jail reserve going too? That they're taking $1 million off the top for, or 1.5 million off the top for?
Yeah, they stopped doing that, but then they started taking a million off the top each year. I said, well, at what point are we gonna have enough to build the jail? I said, never. Because the costs are gonna continue to rise and we're just never gonna get there. So, yeah, that's that's another thing. It's a issue. They're spending, the county spending is out of control. And if they don't address that first, then it's really poor form on their part to come after the money that we rely on.
I need you to enlighten me about how the sales tax works. For example, I take it that no matter where in the county sales tax is generated, the county decides how it gets distributed or if it does.
Correct.
So I'm saying historians aren't supposed to deal with what if, but what if in 3 years' time or whatever, we had some kind of heritage tourism attraction and there was quite a bit of sales tax generated. They get it and we don't.
That's true. That's the case. What we would do and what I've looked into, and I know Ed likes this idea, is going from the village of Homer to the city of Homer. So if we became a city, then we could, the word just,
Opt out.
well, no, it's not.
Preempt.
Preempt, and then we would get 50% of the sales tax.
No, you get it all. You get all you receive, all you make in the village. You get to keep it all. That's why if Cortlandville ever turned into a city, it would wipe the county out.
On the 8%, the state takes 4%, so the other 4 gets
Right.
divvied up, so you could keep that 4%.
So you keep it for.
The city keeps threatening to preempt, but it does not work out to their advantage, because I was chairman and they threatened that once, and we showed them the numbers. It was to their best advantage to stick
Yeah,
with it, but at the same time, we had to raise it then, but we didn't hurt anybody. We only raised it once.
well, right, and ultimately, the proposal on the table now, the city winds up with 1.5 more. Which, that's all right, if they're that hurting and you need to take 1.5 from the rest of us, that's fine. But then the county decided they were gonna take another 12.
Right, and then 11% is being divvied up instead
Yeah.
of 27%.
Right.
Like the town, we're gonna take about a 500,000 of our hit. That's 30 to 40% of our tax.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna lose, $500,000, it's 40%.
So it's gonna be painful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the entire police department.
And I know what you threw out, and I threw out a letter saying, let's try to work together first, but I totally agree. As Homer, one of the bigger, the village should be on that committee, because you do raise. The village, we don't raise a lot because we don't have much out in the village.
Right.
You guys do. So I agree that you should be part of that committee.
Yeah, I would think, You, us, Portlandville at least, but I know I ruffle a lot of feathers at the county level.
Probably Virgil,
Virgil, yeah, absolutely Virgil. Huh, yeah,
so maybe Marathon, Virgil,
yeah,
you, us,
yeah,
Cortlandville, but there's a little, that would be a difficult one.
it's gonna be,
It's gonna be difficult to conversation anyways, because ultimately we're gonna lose out because they're gonna do what they wanna do, but at least we gotta be able to voice our opinion.
And we have to let our residents and our voters and our constituents know that we're fighting this and why, so that it doesn't come as a surprise to them when this comes down. You know, if this goes through, they're gonna be screaming at us because we're gonna have
Oh,
to.
absolutely, our task clerks, I mean, I feel bad for our task clerks because they're front line and they get screamed at
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's gonna be unbearable. But the other thing too is we gotta let our legislators know. I'm very disappointed in our legislators. Not one of the three came and talked to me before this. I found out about it through the back door.
well, I'll say this in the defense of Reed. He found out about it from me. He didn't know anything about it until I said, hey, where are you on this sales tax thing? And he said, what sales tax thing? And I know I talked to another city legislator who had no idea. She's like, I've heard there's rumblings about, there's talks, but I don't know anything about what's going on. So they've really kept, there's only a certain portion of the legislators that know. Now, I know there's another legislator that represents the village that was the one that suggested the sales tax. So,
One of our legislators was on the committee
yes. And
and I voiced my opinion very,
did you? Yeah.
not very happy with. Because none of our legislators been coming to our meeting. The one, he comes with his little sign that really quirks me to no end. And then he disappears, so, but he doesn't inform us on sales tax or anything that's important that we should know about. And shame on him or our other legislators for not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's,
That shouldn't be behind closed doors. That should be an open.
Transparent.
and I found out about it from another municipality, not from another legislator.
I gave Dan a copy of what I received when I got it, and I was shocked when I seen it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty disappointed, in all of it,
The county can afford to raise their taxes more than we can because the hit is spread out more. When we raise our taxes, man, it is a direct, and we've already got seniors, as you know, saying they can't afford to stay in their houses. Can we do something
Right.
to help them out?
And I put out the documents on our website that show where our county spending is way out of line with other counties. We spend the ninth most tax in expenditures per capita of any county in the state, which is ridiculous because we also are the third highest property taxes per capita in the state. So we tax them almost the most and we spend almost the most.
I will say Linda Jones, Kelly Preston, and a few others, a number of years ago, they visited like-sized counties and did a study on where they were going, and they put a year effort into it. And the whole legislators wouldn't even listen. That could have been a very valuable
Yeah,
learning experience, because other counties are a lot better managed than we are.
well, that's my point is, they say, well, we have all these mandates. Well, every county has the same. Every county has the mandates. So, what are they doing? How are they doing it better than us? I don't know why there's no desire for that knowledge at the legislative level. I don't know why they just want to bury their head in the sand or whatever. I don't get it, but it's not good, and I don't know how good we can ever even get it, given the fact that they don't seem to have any willingness to really look into things or be honest brokers about this right now.
And to be quite honest, I mean, if we lose that sales tax money, the town of Homer will survive. Our taxes are gonna go up, but we got the second lowest tax rate in the state. But you're gonna take little counties like little municipalities like Scott, Tyler, be devastated because most of their budget is made up on the sales tax. I don't know how they're gonna make that up, and it's gonna force consolidation where,
Mhm.
and maybe that's a good thing or not, but it's not a good way that they're going about it. It's,
Well. Yeah, it's interesting that they'd be willing to force towns to consolidate, but they weren't really willing to reduce the number of legislators.
right.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Wonder why you signed up for it sometimes.
Oh,
Let me give you some of mine.
yes. Yeah, I mean, we would have to be, we're looking at drastic, figuring if we do it, we'd have to, maybe we try to do 50% cuts and 50% tax increase. So it'd be like garbage service going. No more garbage.
The
service.
landfill is mandated, so you know.
Is it
That
mandated?
is a state mandated thing. Every county has to provide, whether they have their own landfill or they make provisions, they have to go someplace else.
Well, right, we could make provisions to have it go to Seneca Meadows at $34 a ton. Tipping fee versus $90 a ton here. Cause we're the. Oh, we might.
Seneca Meadows is now $90 a ton, so it's no difference.
Well, it'd still be probably cheaper than, because we have the number one highest landfill closure fee and landfill fee in the state, of all the counties. So I don't know. There's gotta be a way. I mean, airport's not mandated, right?
That would be very hard to get rid of because the airport, once you accept federal money, federal funding, the airport has to remain, or the county's got to pay back federal funding, which would be an impossibility.
Hey,
So that airport is there, so
oh, good.
it's there. And really, the airport, when I was there, it made a profit.
Did it?
It made a profit. It was one of the few things we were trying to, if we went through with the Ashford trash for the county landfill, that would have made $1 million a year profit.
Yeah,
But that's behind us now and that is never gonna happen, but the airport does make a profit, or it did make a profit, let me put it that way. I know it made a profit because we used to look at those numbers when I was there.
that's good. All right. Yeah, I just be interested to take a closer look at our spending. County spending, yeah. We're clearly gonna be taking a look at ours because we always do.
Well, we always do, because we always look at ours doing ads, well, anyways.
With the town, we don't have as many programs as you do, so we're not burdened as bad as you, and I understand that. But the only option that we're gonna have, because we run so lean, that we have no places we can cut, not much, I mean, not to come up with that kind of a savings, so ours would almost definitely be done through increasing taxes.
I mean, that's the thing is,
And you guys really can't either, because, I mean, for the size and what you're doing, you're running a pretty lean.
we don't have a lot we could cut. That's why I'm saying we'd have to cut like garbage pickup. We get rid of plowing sidewalks in the winter.
Well, the thing about the garbage pickup is that would, not only would we lose that service, but it would hurt our residents. Because as we do it now, our residents get a heck of a bargain.
They get a great deal.
They get a great deal. And we have a great looking village.
Right, there you go, we got a beautiful looking bill.
If we had to do away with that, we would have garbage like every
Every
day, and it would cost our residents more.
Yeah, I
So,
know. It's. Oh, and I know the county is saying, well, village doesn't need to have a police force.
What?
Yeah, technically we don't, but the county doesn't have to have road patrol either. And they do, and
yeah, the other thing is we do so many, our police force does so many joint helping intermunicipal assistance. Nobody here wants to be waiting for a state trooper who's stuck on 81 handling something.
And think about all the events we have in the village. That the police are there to, make sure people are safe. Keep the roads, closed where they have to close. Just be a presence. We would lose all of that. I'm not gonna be the mayor that gets rid of our police department. I'm just not gonna, so. Because it would be a stain, on the village. So I don't know what we're gonna do. I just know that
Let me know before we renovate.
No, renovate, the police department stays.
We want the police department too. We'll make it
Yeah.
a town and village police department.
I just think that maybe we've got to figure out, like, how to connect the dots from us to Kyler so that we can all secede to Madison County, right? And just gotta go as a group.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Secession threatened. Okay.
You know?
But they're run by a board of supervisors.
Oh, well, I know, let's say, that's fine. That's fine. I know, anything has gotta be better than what's going on. I'm just so disappointed.
No, I didn't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's why they operate that,
Yeah.
because the supervisors. Most towns and villages are very well run.
When it was the board of supervisors, did the village have any representation on that, or was it just the
That
town?
was before my time. I can't answer that.
That's the question
I think it's just the towns.
just the towns, I think so too. Maybe we can amend that. Part of our contract. Alrighty, anyway, well, we beat this one to death. Brandon's not here. Any comments from board members? No? Kevin?
Yeah, like, I just need some help with something. Dan was nice enough to email me the copy of the contract arms for us, so at that time when we paid after order the flowers.
Right.
So, in my reading it, I just had someone clarify a few things, and if you can help me, that would be great. So, the agreement is renewable each year for up to 3 years. Provided the beautification committee in the village is satisfied with the project. A notice was received by the vendor by the 15th of September and given your in writing. Flowers for the next year, including color, must be in agreement with the beautification committee, the village of Homer, and the vendor. Price changes will be reviewed by the village board of trustees during the renewal time. Final contract renewal will be approved by the village board of trustees. Now, I just need some clarification, so we passed the 15th of September.
Correct.
So, I mean, do they automatically get next year's thing, so I can go with them and?
Yes.
That's what I needed.
But we still have to approve the price.
Right.
And everything.
The price I thought was locked in that
Is it locked in?
I did not according to this.
oh, we'll have to check on.
That's the plan.
That's why I was gonna have Fran take a look.
Yeah. Cause I thought they were better than last time, but
They were better than last time, but there's improvement.
there's room for improvement. Yes.
So I'm gonna try to get it on Andrew Porter. And whoever else wants to go with me, have a meeting with them. You know, I think if they just add a little bit more color and maybe put more flowers in them, they would look better and last longer, because they didn't last as long as they should.
Good point.
So, do I have permission to go
Yes.
ahead and meet with them?
Yes.
And get it?
Stay on top of it.
Thank you.
Anything else, Kevin?
Thank you, Dan.
I'll get with you if there's additional language.
That meeting, Gary, if I come along with you,
Absolutely, I wish you would.
let me know.
Yep.
That would really look good at that.
Okay.
Irish eyes?
So before I left, Kevin and I went up to the cemetery and we looked at where they would like to place the pad. Kevin and I agreed, but also we talked to them that it's not gonna happen until the spring.
Correct.
And it'll be a joint operation with cemetery and DPW for the laying of the pad to make sure it's done properly. Also laid out some discussions on a 5-year plan to kind of move the cemetery operations to the top of the hill, leaving room for the water tank. So that'll be a nice little area for the 2 water tanks in the cemetery. We'll have cameras, electricity.
Yeah.
And then we would be looking at the potential of turning that where the cemetery buildings were down in that little glen into a little park rest area for visitors. We could have some historical poster, monuments there, and a restful area for people that can just enjoy the view and the solitude, because there's a stream that goes down the one side.
Great idea.
So, Kevin, did I miss anything? But we're looking at this as like a 5-year plan
Great idea.
to gradually move, keep costs down, but also present an area where we can have some historical significance, especially since we have the marker down at the bottom. It would be nice to have something up there for.
Yeah, I really like that idea because, you know, after walking a little bit through the cemetery, you're gonna be a place to take a break.
Yeah.
That's quite large.
Yeah.
But no, talking with, all, they seem to have a plan for the place. Sounds perfect.
Very good.
But this will be a 5-year
Right.
production.
I like it.
And so we are almost to October, which means we're almost to voting time. And we're gonna have the firefighters defined contribution benefit up for a vote. So I wanted to discuss with the board how we want to get the information out to the voters to make sure that they can have an educated thought on this. I know we are approving an agreement on it, but it's got to go before
Right.
the voters.
Right. Well, I think obviously we should try to give a happening homework. Might have to change the order. Yes.
Yeah.
I got a schedule.
Oh, you got to meet with Corbin County, even better. So that's longer, right?
Yep.
Longer form. Yeah, perfect. All right, and then I think we should probably do something in the Homer News. And probably an ad in the Standard.
On social media as well.
Yes.
Oh, so if you have, yeah. I want to make sure, I think it's a good thing. I think we all agree it's a good thing. But I want to make sure that our residents have as much information to make an educated vote as they can. The good news is we've already budgeted for it,
Yes.
so.
Yes.
That's the, I had something else, but I can't think about it, so. My mind is still moving on vacation time.
That's all right. Ed, you got anything?
The only thing I thought about is, I liked your idea of only the 1 year for the auditors. I was a little concerned over 3 years. So that was good, but otherwise I'll be back on the 8th. My, truck pumpkin destroyed itself, so I don't want to drive it anymore than I have to. So I got to buy a new truck. So anyhow, that's what I'm going to do when I get back next week.
Are you good?
Over.
We got nothing? Any need for executive?
Well,
Media.
media first.
Oh, yeah. We do have.
Small thing.
Okay, all right, questions from the media? Yes.
I just, Lily Byrne, Portland Center. I was just wondering if you scheduled a public hearing for the LED signs. I just didn't catch that.
We're scheduling a public hearing to do a moratorium for 6 months while we continue to figure out what technology to.
Okay, so the public hearing is the next meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, you good? Calvin, you good?
Yeah, all set, Hal, thanks.
All right, beautiful. All right, we need to go into executive session for New York State Public Property Law, Article 7, Section 1.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you.
Backdrop, so.